Hey everyone, this is Nate, and this is going to be an updated video of the method I use to screen print my own products at home. I've been doing this for the last couple years, and this is the exact method that I've used to make quite a bit of extra cash. So I want to share that with you. So the first thing you see there is that I've printed out the image that I'm going to be screen printing onto a transparency. I'm using a cheap inkjet printer to print out the images, and the transparencies you can get for very cheap, 25 cents, as long as you buy like 40 of them off of eBay or something. And next you're going to see I'm going to be using the photo emulsion sheets. You should use you can use the little pieces that come in there. They're smaller than a sheet of paper to do the test exposure, or if you run out of those, you can cut one yourself so you can test it before you expose and ruin a whole entire sheet. So you're going to put down your emulsion sheet on the board, and you're going to do a shiny side up because that's the side that needs to be exposed to light. And then you're going to lay your transparency down on top of that, and you're going to want it to be the reverse image of how you want it screen print on your shirt. So if you've got words, you want it to be backwards right now inside the exposure board. And all this comes in the screen printing kit, and I'll leave a link below where you can get one yourself. The next step is to expose it, and you have a couple choices. The first, I have fluorescent lighting in my house, and so I set up a ladder to expose it. It takes about 12 minutes exposing it that way. Or you can do direct sun exposure, and it takes about a minute doing it this way. And you'll want to do that between 11 and 2 p.m. so you get maximum exposure. After you've exposed your board, either with fluorescent lighting or the direct sunlight, you need to let it soak in water for about 30 minutes. Once you remove it from the exposure board, you can see your design in that light green. You can see your design. You'll want to be able to see that. If you don't see that, then you've underexposed your screen, and the design's not there, or you're overexposed and the light went straight through you've exposed it for too long and it's gone straight through your transparency. Oh, and be sure when you expose it in the dark. If you do it with a light on, you'll continue exposing your screen and your design won't wash out. After 30 minutes, it's time to wash the design out of the sheet. I'm going to be using a plastic netting to hold the stencil, and I'm just going to rinse it under the faucet. If you've exposed it just right, the emulsion just should come out right away. If you're having a little bit of trouble with it, you can use a paintbrush or a sponge brush to help remove the emulsion from the areas. But you're going to want to remove all the emulsion. You got to remove it all to make sure it screen prints correctly. When you hold it up to light, you should be able to see it should be completely white, and you should be able to see straight through it once it's dry. That's how you're going to know all of the emulsion is gone. Alright, so once it's rinsed out, you're going to let it dry somewhere. For this, I'm going to mix my own inks. I mixed opaque black from Speedball and Speedball black. The opaque black is not really a black; it's more of a silver to me, but it has more of a metallic look. And I wanted that metallic look, so I've mixed it in with the fabric black to get the color that I wanted. All right, so now that the stencil is dry, I'm going to put it face down. I'm going to the shiny side down now, and the netting side up, the rough side up, and I'm going to tape it to my shirt using blue painter's tape. I like to use painter's tape because it's strong enough to hold it in place, but it's not so strong that it's going to tear my stencil or really be difficult to remove from the clothing once I'm done screen printing. So I just tape up all the borders to make sure it's keeping me from getting paint on my shirt, and make sure it's completely fixed to the shirt. And then I use the paintbrush and I put a line of paint across the top of the stencil. Alright, now that I have the ink on the stencil, I'm going to use the squeegee, and I'm going to hold it at a 45-degree angle to push that ink down into the screen, and make sure I've covered the entire area with the ink. I'm going to hold it even flatter than 45 degrees to make sure I go all the way down and make sure I'm pushing ink all the way into the screen. And then to remove the excess, I hold it straight up at 90 degrees and I pull down, and that's going to remove the excess. And then I use my paintbrush to put the extra either back into the paint containers or into a separate container I store all my mixed paints in. And you're going to want to remove a lot of the excess paint. You don't want a whole lot of excess, because once you pull that stencil off, you'll have big globs of ink where there's excess. So once I'm done getting the ink onto my stencil, I start pulling off the blue painter's tape. Now, if you're not sure you actually got your design all the way on your shirt, you can leave that last strip and just lift up the stencil. And if you've got any areas where you didn't get ink, gently lay the stencil back on top and reapply your ink in those areas. But mine came out really good, so I removed the stencil. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse off my stencil in the sink and get all that ink off. You can actually screen print multiple items at the same time. You don't have to rinse out the screen right away. You can take it off, put it on another shirt, and screen print multiple shirts that way. But you want to rinse it out and as soon as possible, because you don't want the ink to dry in there and clog your screen, and then it'll become useless. You should be able to use these stencils over and over and over again. I've used the same stencil from dozens of times for a single product, and they should last a very long time if you take care of them. Now, once your shirt, you need to let the paint dry, or you can speed up the drying process. Like you saw, I used a blow dryer. So either one, you can let it dry on its own or use a blow dryer, and then once it's dry, use an iron to heat set it. This is going to melt the ink right into your fabric. And now I'll show you just how much detail is really possible with these. You can really see it captures all the small little details of the design. It's really remarkable. Alright, thanks for watching. If you have any more questions, be sure to leave a comment below or come to my blog and leave a message, or feel free to contact me directly and I'll be sure to answer any questions you might have, and I really want to help you get started. Alright, thanks very much again. Bye.